How's it going, guys? I'm going to have a quick look at a few of these toys I got recently enough on the cheap. They're called Invizimals. They're from this series of these little kind of gummy like figures, and this is one here. So basically I'm using them, I'm kind of repainting them and putting them together as monsters, we'll say, and doing some conversions on some of them. So this is kind of a were tiger shark guy I've got here. You see scale wise he's on a large base, a 2x2, and this is versus the Reaper Minis Barbarian here. And you know, the paint job is pretty simple enough, just a bit of stripes on him to make him look kind of like a tiger shark. Now he had some kind of nose, his nose kind of feline here for some reason. He was a tiger shark, as in a tiger and a shark mixed together, you know. These are kids' toys, so it's fine, but if it's a big kind of were shark creature, I think it'd be pretty sweet as a character or as a monster. You know, really quick paint job, put some gloss on him to make him look a bit wet, and that's the first guy. So the second guy here is something a bit different. I think they call him an Cyclops pup. I don't know if that's the technical term, but you'll see it is a Cyclops baby, I think it is, and for some reason he's wearing a log for clothes. So this guy was just a simple repaint, and I kind of changed his stance so he'd actually fit on a small base. It looks like he's going in for a big hug or something, but yeah, you know, it's just a bit of gloss on his eye there, just a bit of a repaint, and you know, I could have filled this in here, the gaps, but I wasn't too bothered. It was something a bit strange, a bit different. You don't really see much Cyclopses in, I suppose. He could count as just an actual Cyclops considering the scale. I suppose that might actually be a large creature, or it could be like a small ogre type thing. But yeah, he was kind of fun, something different. I think I put a bit of gloss on his tongue as well, but I think his eye really sold it. And that's him versus the Reaper guy here. Maybe, I don't know, it could be like an adventure where you have to bring back, find the Cyclops' child, you know, to bring it back to appease the Cyclops or something like this. But I don't really see much Cyclops miniatures. I think was it a Greek legend, I think Cyclops was, so maybe it's not as popular, or it's not as kind of used. I assume they'd probably have the same stats as, we'll say, a troll or a ogre or something like this. An ogre would probably be the way to say it. But yeah, so that's him versus the miniature guy. Next up versus the Reaper miniatures ogre here is a gargoyle. So I painted him up as a gargoyle, we'll say. So it's basically just rock detail on him. He's very grey, as you can see, with a bit of moss. This is grey really, to kind of speckled on as well, if you can see. Maybe the shine isn't working, but most of the work really here is put on into the base, just for something different, a bit of green through it. And maybe I could have went for maybe more marble or something, but I think it, you know, made it look like that he's actually a stone or paving, something similar to the base. So that's him. I think he was originally a chupacabra, that I think it's a Mexican or Spanish goat sucker demon creature, kind of folklore creature, was what the figure was actually called, but I'm using him as a gargoyle, I would say. That I think this is a pretty big gargoyle as well, because it's a large base, but I think it only made sense. Yeah, I kind of chose gargoyle because of the features. I suppose it could have been another winged creature, could have been a demon. Like these guys, they're very blocky and they're very cartoony looking, so if you're not too bothered about that, you can use them as a lot of different things. These kind of series in general, these kids toys, you know, similar to the gourmety figures before, you can use them as bases and build on top of them, like I've done. I'll show you later with some of those, but yeah, some of them you just repaint. So that's him anyway. This guy was another really quick job. He was just basically a dragon, and you know, you can not have too many dragons. It seems like some kind of rock dragon, like he was a Pokemon. I'd say he'd be, you know, maybe rock flying type, or he'd be maybe steel flying if I painted all these. Yeah, actually he could be like an armored dragon if I had painted all those up. But really quick, like I think I didn't do much change to him at all. Like I didn't even take this off here just because the angle, usually that thing kind of annoys me, you know, if it's like a made in China or that kind of thing. The bases on these guys actually are just cardboard with some of them have hot glue around the sides to seal them up, and they're kind of built up with a bit of gravel and all that, and that's some tea there. It's nothing crazy, but it's a really quick job, you know, if you want some kind of steel or some kind of rock dragon. Pretty big wingspan, you know. These toys would be great actually as actual toys. They're blocky and they're tough. Now for the set, I got a few sets because they were on sale. They were €5 for the 5 guys in the set, and I think one of them was a mystery guy, you know, and that you won't be able to see looking into the package. But yeah, they're fun. I scoped them out and I went down the next day and got more. So I've still got a few to work through, but this is the rock dragon guy here. This one is very, very shiny. I kind of left the gloss varnish on him strong, so he'd be very slippery looking. It's kind of a big frog monster. I know these slans or slads or something like this, I think they're called, are big frog demons, I'm pretty sure they are, in D&D. This one had kind of these holes on his back, so I kind of like him. He looks like an almost artillery guy. He's sitting in the back shooting these slimes out, maybe shooting tadpoles, or he's some kind of spawner. So the paint job was really simple. It's just green, it's highlighted, and then some dabs of yellow. Could have went more through the poisonous tree frog side. Yeah, maybe he could be a big large toad. You know, he's doing his what the hell is that part called of a toad? The ribbit part, I'm not actually sure what that's called. The big kind of neck. I'm not sure, accordion thing. But yeah, he could shoot out poison even out through these from long range, and then he looks like pretty tough. He's quite a bulky guy up close. So same again, really quick paint job, and he's on a large base there versus the Reaper Barbarian dude. This guy I changed up, we'll say, just the colour scheme is all I really did on him. So scale wise, yeah, he's a big, I nearly want to use him as some kind of a Yeti or something like this, just because the colours I ended up using on him were quite, I think the white is quite strong. It just really came down to, I had him sprayed black, I had him based black, and I sprayed him from the top from white, because I was going to, you know, maybe turn him into a bear or something like this. This could have been simply, or it could have easily been turned into a owl bear. How did I forget the fucking name for an owl bear? That's crazy. You know, if I just, let's say, sculpted an owl head for him and maybe did his tail a bit different, I suppose I could leave it, but, you know, fur him up a bit more, because his stance is quite good. Maybe throw some feathers off, sculpt some here. But I think I like him how he is. He's quite intimidating. The colour scheme came pretty strong. Same again, really, really simple, you know, the highlights. Like, how many colours are here? 1, 2, 3, with the red in the eyes. 2 and 4 maybe, if you count the base or the blue. And same again with the base. Actually, the base here is cardboard again with I strengthen it with super glue as well before I actually, you know, stick anything onto it, so it's pretty substantial. I think I have a new material for basing, a better one, but this is pretty strong, and it's really cheap as well, so it's grand. So that's him there. I'm going to say he's a Yeti. Yeah, let's go with Yeti. This guy was the reason I actually bought any of these, because you'll see, so he's some kind of ant creature here. You'll see again, just a bit of a repaint between a little bit of highlights, a little bit more colour through him, but not much. Like, it could have really done more between, went darker, created some shading on the top here with the leaves. But I loved his big jaw, his big kind of goofy. He's very blocky, similar to the designs of those Disney Infinity figures. Between, you can get the Hulk and you get like Venom and all that. The designs are very chunky and like proportions are crazy, but he seems almost like a friendly tree ant. Same again with the stance. I'll put him up on a little bit of a rock here, just for, looks more intimidating, or shouting, do you know what I mean? Or kind of come at me bro, kind of head on him, you know. But yeah, just the design of him in general, the chunkiness and all that, I really enjoyed. Same again, if I was to get another one, I would go a bit stronger and actually have the branches come up and build more foliage on top, and you know, do a bit more with him, give him a little haircut. But I like this design so much, I didn't want to change it too much. Even the stance and everything, I think really worked. And that would be him versus scale wise versus the Reaper Barbarian guy. It's funny because he's an ent, but a Trent, but he's quite stocky, you know. Usually they're as tall as a tree, you know. This guy's kind of different, so I mean, he could be a wood golem potentially with his little berries. So they look like almost others or something, even though there's only 5. Yeah, just where they're placed is quite weird. Maybe they could go up and he could be, you know, a enchanted bush or something like this, and they go try and pick his berries and he gets quite angry, you know. This one is one of the work in progress guys that I've actually put a decent bit of work into. He was originally, I think, let me see if I have it on a piece of paper here. Is he even here? So these are the lineup of some of them. One of the series, I think there's a few series of them. I don't think he's actually there. You'll recognize this guy already. There's a tiger shark guy. There's the Cyclops. There's, oh no, not that guy. There's the, yeah, so you recognize, I actually got a good few of them. There he is, there's another guy. Yeah, I got tons of them, so it's not actually that serious. Let me just see the other one. Maybe it'd be a good idea to show you a look at some of it. The options are pretty crazy here. You got a stag beat looking guy, he could be good. Another dragon, there's tiger guy, must be a favourite. You got that robot guy there, but I don't really know what to do with him. So some of them are a bit weird and kind of hard to use. They don't look as good as they do in these images here. There he's there. Yeah, that's him. So that was him originally. Let's see how he looks in his work in progress here. Let's see. So I put him up on a base here, kind of a higher up. Let me just fix the camera. Yeah, to make him a little more substantial. So I'm going to use him as a Manticore. Usually they have wings, but that's like feckin' like these spikes. It's like feckin' magic. Let's just say. And this is foam I actually use in work for printing signs onto, and it's like very thick foam board. Like here's some here. It is actually, it's very strong foam board, very thick. You can use it for sculpting, like putting cobble streets into and stuff like that. I'm going to try to do that. Not for bases, just for, we'll say, more terrain. But anyway, get sidetracked again. This guy's great. I've been putting a decent bit of work into doing his sculpting into his face here. So Manticore is kind of a mix of person and lion head. So I'm kind of having a bit of fun. It's not focusing for me. Fun on sculpting his head and having his fucking crazy teeth popping out there. So this guy's gonna be a lot of fun to paint. Now you'll see. Now a lot of people I suspect aren't gonna find this very nice. See on his mane is actually made out of fingernails, okay? So if you don't like that, feel free to dislike and all that, or give out to me. But that's fingernails, and you'll see it on his tail as well. Hey, you know, you gotta recycle, man. So you can tell me if that's a good idea or if it's actually disgusting and I should stop doing it. But I think it'll work in the end. Like, they're clean and everything. They don't look clean, but they're clean, and you know, they'll have paint on them anyway, so it's fine. But he was a lot of fun for his face. His face was a lot of fun to sculpt, we'll say. And then that's actually him scale wise against Reaper Barbarian then again. So he's up on the stand a little bit, you know, built up with milliput here and just some cork and some gravel as well. Just, you know, because I put a little bit more work into him, I said I'd actually give him a good base. So he's actually going to be a lot of fun to paint. Now I have left a lot of flat areas here, which I'm not really sure how it will turn out. You know, maybe I should have actually sculpted on them, but it would have been a lot of a bigger job, you know, so I've added a little bit of fur texture on some parts and on his tail here, because I think they shoot, you know, spines from their tail and that kind of thing. And sometimes they'd have, well, I think usually they'd have a kind of a scorpion tail on the back, but I've kind of went for this version. But I think he'll work. I mean, scale wise I think he works, and I think he'll turn out well in the end, hopefully anyway. Next up we've got one that I've kind of customized into a, what would you call it, a boulet or bullet, you know, that one, the land shark kind of idea of a monster. So he's pretty big there again. What he actually originally looked like was this guy here, if you can see, steel dragon. So yeah, clipped off his wings. I really liked his jaw design. This is not focusing, but yeah, you'll see it here. So I've kind of increased it a bit and gave him kind of more of a, sculpted on his eyes a bit more and a strong jaw. And you'll see it's just, you know, hot glue to texture him up. And he's kind of chunky. You know, the thing is, he's supposed to be like natural, you know what I mean? The steel dragon was obviously, he seemed like a robot almost made of steel. So there's all these kind of weird shapes. It's not very natural looking. So I'll see how it turns out in the end. I'm just kind of hide a lot of it by just putting gravel over it, considering he's coming from the ground. And I could have done more of a scenic kind of base where he's bursting from underneath, but I think it works, you know, scale wise. It's not exactly as the boulet actually looks like in the books and that, but you know, it makes sense between the armor plating and stuff that I added onto his back was just cardboard, and then with the hot glue and stuff over to texture it and to strengthen it. And they're pistachio nuts actually. They're just shells from pistachio nuts. Because I love pistachio nuts on the kind of as armor, natural armor. So yeah, he's a pretty big beast. I don't know scale wise if it works really what size they usually are. I think it works. I think they're larger to be on a large base. But this guy is anyway. So that's him scale wise versus the barbarian there. So last up for the few guys I'm doing work in progress for the moment is this guy here, and he's kind of going for a were-pug idea. So I've actually just dry brushed him really quick there so you can actually see some of the details. His face is meant to be a big were-pug. You see his kind of bulgy eyes and his smile. Originally, you know, this is what the guy was. I was going to say miniature, but he's not really a miniature. There he is there. Metal mutt. So you'll see the spikes and his big... This is not exactly that same pose or anything like that, but that was him originally, and I popped his head off. So, you know, that's another piece to use for something else. So he's kind of a were-pug idea, so I sculpted on his chest, sculpted on a little ween for him there, a little dog ween. Weird, I suppose, but I mean, why not? So he's got all spikes on his back, give him an extra spike and a little pug tail. And the fur is static grass again. You can't really pick it out, but you know, it just adds more detail, and it's like, so I don't have to, we'll say, sculpt the whole back with fur. So I had a little bit of fun there, sculpting his face, trying to make him kind of look like a pug, but when the details are there, when the colours are there, it'll be, you know, look more pug-like, but still very ferocious at the same time. So that's him versus the barbarian there. Scale-wise, he's kind of pretty fun. Like, it could be a pug that took some potion or something that made him rage and kind of grow spines and fucking go crazy. You know what I mean? It could be the princess's little dog, and then the dog turns out to be maybe you're sent to rescue the dog and you're like, this is a stupid quest, why are we doing this? But then the dog ends up being the boss in the end. No, actually, I've just copped this. I've only given him 2 nipples, and dogs would have more than that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but I thought I'd go with that. It's like were-pug makes me think it could also be someone that's a werewolf that turns into a pug, like a were-pug, if that's an actual thing, lycanthrope or whatever they're called. But yeah, that's him versus the barbarian there. Eventually I'll put him on a base, probably something like a Cobble Street base, something like that, because I have a little pug miniature going around somewhere. So that could be the form before, and this is the form after, obviously. So that's him. All these guys here are the guys that I've left over that I've not worked on yet. They all came in the sets, apart from the few that I took apart because I had no idea what to do with them, the few robots. But yeah, so these guys are kind of up in the air. I'm not really sure what to do, but scale wise they work, I think, for big monsters. Like, this guy's kind of got a Cthulhu kind of a I don't know, look to him. He's very aquatic. I took his arms off for some reason. I think I was going to give him tentacles or something, and his face is a bit lackluster. I could give him like sweet big tentacles or something like that, but as a base for a monster I think it's pretty sweet. You could sculpt on more fins, you could go even more, you could get like a fish head toy from a different toy and get more of a fish head look, something like that. So as an aquatic monster they're pretty good. So I just snapped off his arms because I didn't think they really suited. That's him anyway. What we're gonna go do next, check out this guy here. So there's a few weird ones. There's like a female leopard, big leopard lady. I'm sure I could do something with it. It's quite strange though, the colours are very bright and vibrant. Like, as they go by themselves they wouldn't need a repaint. I'm sure someone would come up with an idea for this, but I'm kind of not sure about her at the moment. And this one is something similar. So it looks like a female form. It's like a monkey lemur, like huge monkey lemur person. Like, I mean, potentially the monsters could be good guys too. You know, that's pretty cool. For like a pretty interesting fighting style if they had, you know, weapons that they could carry on their feet as well. Potentially like use their tail as a spring and then fight with their... I suppose that's like Tigger, isn't it? Tigger the tiger. But yeah, that's her. I mean, I'm not really sure what to do with her, but that's, I suppose, why I haven't done anything yet. This guy's a bit crazy. He kind of reminds me of Crash Bandicoot, you know, Uka Uka. I think that was his name. Could be like a demon or a kind of a big witch doctor guy. If I painted this all up as skin and then gave him a little bum or a little loincloth, I suppose, and he could be just some kind of big witch doctor creature. So obviously, scale wise, this is kind of all over the place. But you know, considering I've got Moshi monsters and fucking Gormiti and all this, anything goes. These guys are a great base, but I think as a minimum at least you need to repaint them because the colours are way too vibrant, and it wouldn't suit everybody. You'll see there taking off his made in China kind of markers, brand mark. But yeah, these won't suit everybody, but I like them just as a base for things, like with the Manticore. This guy here was pretty cool. Big panda bear fighter. He could be like a werebear, like a good guy werebear. a good guy panda. Now the weapons are quite strange. It's like armor and weapons in one, and there's a bit of detail to them. I mean, you know, with a bit of spray and the repaint, you could sculpt like nice armor here, so he could be like a friendly fighter werebear. So I've taken off some of his mold lines, but scale wise he would be bigger, but it'd be a sweet companion, you know what I mean? He looks like a Digimon almost. The colours remind me of a Digimon, and that he'd almost roll up with armour and become a ball and attack, kind of like a Sandshrew, the Pokemon or something like that. But yeah, he's like, that's my idea for him anyway. I think it's mostly because his armour and the colour of him, that he's a panda already. And who doesn't like a panda? Who doesn't want to go adventuring with a werebear companion that's a panda? That'd be pretty sweet. This guy is, poses pretty good. Like, even as a base, as a model, you know, he could chop his head off, chop his spikes off, change his tail, and just build on top of the pose. Or you could leave his head, I suppose, because the teeth are kind of funky and, like, his eyes are in the wrong place, I think. But yeah, as a base for a monster, I think it's good. I just don't have one in mind put on, but the pose is something different. It's aggressive and it's a little bit, it's not static, we'll say, so I like that at least. And I think it would work as a large monster as well. This guy is weird. For some reason it reminds me of Bionicles. I'm not really sure what he is. He's got ears here, he's got a mask, shield, arms, not exactly wings on the back, but that's him. Some kind of ancient guardian. He's a bit too goofy scale wise, I think. Same again, you could build on top, chop his head off, give him more simpler arms, and he could be some kind of celestial being. I'm kind of getting that vibe from these wings here, or wings, I don't know if you want to call them that. But scale wise, yeah, maybe you could do with a sword or something. Like, he's got fist here. Kind of at a loss for him as well, but his armor's kind of interesting, how it kind of folds around him, something like wings. And finally we got this little Griffin. I think a little bit of work I could fix him up, like the wings, if they are even wings. Maybe they're meant to be some kind of saddle. Yeah, they're probably meant to be wings. He's kind of derpy looking from that angle, but he could be a mount for a fucking hobbit or a halfling. But I think I'd have to give him better wings, and to make a saddle wouldn't be hard either. And I would resculpt his eyes. Like, he'd get repainted and he'd get undercoat and all that and repainted, but I'd resculpt his eyes to be a little bit more realistic, I think. And maybe potentially a new beak. That'd be pretty sweet. Actually, would there be could there be griffins that's like a toucan? Do you know those birds with the huge beaks? That'd be interesting. Or pelican griffin. That'd be weird. Kind of goofy actually. But anyway, that's him versus the barbarian there. And that's it for these guys, this collection of Invizimals. Check them out if they're on sale. I mean, I think originally they are pretty expensive for what they are, and they come in loads of different sizes, but these guys worked, I think, and I just snapped them up when they're on sale. But I'm pretty happy with some of the guys I've been working on, and the toys aren't bad either. It's always fun to find little things like this around. Once they're on sale, I'll pick them up. Anyway, cheers for watching, guys.